Christian Dior. We tend to think of really strong brands as U.S. brands, and there are some great brands in the U.S., but do not ignore some of these European brands, especially in fashion and finer things, luxury. And Christian Dior is one of the best. It looks fantastic in our work. Return on capital is so consistent. Let's jump right into it. Back 2004, you see that 17% return, and it's just been right around that mark year in, year out. This is exactly the kind of stock that we love. So we know the consistency, we know what we're going to get. It's typically undervalued and just keeps on posting another great return on invested capital. So the lowest it was 15%, and that was in 2009 when there was a financial crisis. So if that's the worst you're going to do in a financial crisis, that's really good. Now, valuation-wise, it looks probably better in our work than it should, and that's because of the financial leverage, in my estimation. So it's really sensitive to assumptions. I've tried to take those assumptions down a little bit, and you can see that it really does affect the value greatly just by changing it by a couple percentages of the forecast of return on invested capital. If you go, a couple points higher, a couple points lower, the valuation swings quite a bit. It's because of the financial leverage. But given the consistency of this company, I think it's okay to be levered, and I feel very comfortable with it. Quite consistent in terms of the share price and in terms of the performance. Now, some other really interesting things. I talk about being a good brand. I typically thought of it as, just from the outside, just being, a non-fashion person. Think of it as fragrances, perfumes, and things like that. But really, most of their revenue actually comes from clothing and retail. So leather goods and clothing. There's some jewelry. There's even some spirits in there. And some spirits is kind of interesting. Hennessy, Dom Perignon. Really great brands there too. Some other brands that are associated with it is Louis Vuitton, Fendi, Heuer, Sephora. Those are all really incredible brands. So I really can't believe how consistent the company is. As I said, don't ignore brands outside of the U.S. Some of these European ones, especially in fashion, are really consistent and really investable and really make great long-term investments.